Chapter 58, The Law of the Fast. Still continuing from the previous chapter, here in 58, the Lord tells his servant to cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet. And what is this prophet to declare? To show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. This humble man who's reluctant to lift up his voice or even cause it to be heard in the street is now told to declare the sins of the covenant people as if with a trumpet, something few would want to do. The word spelled S-H-E-W is pronounced show, and it means to reveal. In this case, to reveal the sins of the covenant people. Obviously, some will resent this, and some may even become violent in their opposition, leading to the servant being marred by those who will not believe it. Then the Lord speaks of this people's contradictory behavior. They seek me daily, he says, as if they were a nation that did righteousness, but they aren't righteous. And yet they complain that they are afflicted and ignored. They can't see the contradiction of praying for one thing and doing another. They don't understand that they're guilty of grievous sins, in spite of the fact that they perform ordinances and delight in approaching to God. They seem to have a form of worship, but not the spirit of the gospel. God says that though they fast, they still do as they please and even oppress their laborers in their work. He says that even when they fast, they strike viciously with the fist of wickedness in their dealings with others. Tragically, by this time, some of them may have even struck the prophet of the Lord. The Lord asked them a question. Is this the fast I've chosen? For men to afflict themselves and make their bed in sackcloth and ashes, to bow their heads like cattails bending over? Of course not. But again, they have the form, not the spirit. So God reveals what he requires when his covenant people fast: to loose the bands of wickedness and to help people in bondage, especially the poor. As far as we are able, we're to free others from the tyranny of poverty. A Latter-day Prophet provided a great example of this Christ-like love. When President George Albert Smith left work at the end of a day, he would travel the streets of Salt Lake City looking for someone to help. He would then stop and invite the person to come to his home for dinner, where his wife, Lucy Woodruff Smith, knew to prepare enough for themselves and the others he might bring home. The prophet and Lucy also offered to wash their clothes and allow them to shower. Lucy said their home often smelled of cigarettes and alcohol, but was filled with the Spirit. Theirs was truly a home of Christ-like love. The Lord says, "Is not this the fast I have chosen, to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out to thy house?" If we do this, the Lord says, then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily. It's interesting that George Albert Smith had suffered from ill health for many years, but when he served as the prophet and brought hundreds to his home for relief, his own health improved remarkably. If we'll bless the poor with our love as well as with our money, then when we call upon God, he shall answer. If we cease to judge others and instead draw out our souls to the hungry, our light will rise in obscurity. Today, many of the Lord's children do live lives of love and charity. But evidently, in the very last days, when wars are raging and so many are suffering terribly, it'll be tempting to hoard food, to board up our homes, to care for ourselves, and fight off others. Now, we don't know when these times will come, but they will come. And we'll be judged by the Christ-like love we share when sharing seems impossible. But if we'll follow the example of our prophet, God promises to give us enough to eat, even in drought. More than that, he'll make us like a watered garden and a spring of water whose waters fail not. Brigham Young once said that the only way his family survived their first couple of winters in Salt Lake was by sharing with others. He said, "And I intend to keep sharing, that my bread may hold out. For if I do not, I shall come up short." I know that principle is true because I've proven it so many times. If you want to have enough when hard times come, prepare to share. The promise is that not only will we and our children live, we'll come to know the Lord personally, And our children will go forth and rebuild the old waste places, the cities ravaged by war, and will be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. Isaiah promises us that if we will cease trampling the Sabbath and truly honor the Lord on his holy day, we will find delight in God and will be healed. And he will even cause us to ride upon the high places of the earth. He'll bless us with the ancient inheritances of our father Jacob, which are the promised blessings of Israel, which are peace and plenty and the glory of God himself. All this and more is explained in the book, The Words of Isaiah. I'm Curtis Taylor with The Words of Isaiah.